What if I told you that one of the most powerful tools for rebuilding lost muscle after 60 isn't found in a pill or protein powder, but in your fruit bowl? We often think of muscle loss as an inevitable part of aging, something to be accepted, managed, perhaps even feared. But neuroscience and nutritional science are beginning to converge on a surprising insight. Certain fruits contain natural compounds that don't just support muscle maintenance, they may help trigger muscle regeneration at the cellular level. This matters deeply. After the age of 60, we lose muscle mass at an accelerated rate, up to 3–5% per decade. This condition, known as sarcopenia, is more than a cosmetic concern. It leads to reduced strength, slower recovery, higher fall risk, and diminished independence. But here's the breakthrough. Research now shows that specific phytonutrients, like ursolic acid, anthocyanins, and potassium-rich compounds found in certain fruits, can stimulate muscle protein synthesis, reduce inflammation, improve insulin sensitivity, and even activate pathways involved in satellite cell repair, the cells that actually rebuild muscle tissue. This is no longer about just eating healthy. This is about targeted nutrition that speaks the language of your biology. In this episode, we'll dive deep into the top 5 fruits, often overlooked, but backed by science, that have the power to help you reverse age muscle loss. You'll learn what they are, how they work, when to eat them, and the biological mechanisms behind their muscle rebuilding potential. We'll also explore the behavioral science behind consistent dietary change, because knowing what to eat is only half the battle. I'll give you practical tools and simple protocols so you can make these fruits a sustainable part of your daily rhythm, even if you've never thought of yourself as someone who eats for performance. By the end of this episode, you'll walk away with more than just a grocery list. You'll have a neuroscience-informed strategy for reclaiming your strength, energy, and resilience, one bite at a time. Let's get into it. When most people think about rebuilding muscle, especially after the age of 60, they think of one thing: protein. And while dietary protein is undeniably important, what's often overlooked is how your body decides whether to build, maintain, or break down muscle. That decision doesn't start with how much protein you eat. It starts with cellular signaling, messages inside your body that tell muscle cells to grow, repair, or degrade. One of the most important of these signals is a molecular pathway called mTOR, short for mechanistic target of rapamycin. mTOR is like the master switch for muscle protein synthesis. When activated, it tells your body to start building muscle tissue. Traditionally, this switch is triggered by resistance training and essential amino acids, especially leucine. But here's where it gets fascinating. Certain fruits can also activate mTOR, or enhance the conditions that support its activation. Let's take ursolic acid as an example, a natural compound found in the skin of apples, cranberries, and prunes. Research from the University of Iowa, published in Cell Metabolism, found that ursolic acid increased muscle mass and brown fat in mice by enhancing IGF-1 signaling and suppressing atrophy genes. In simple terms, this compound mimics some of the cellular effects of strength training, even without exercise. Now, of course, fruit won't replace lifting weights, but imagine combining the two: resistance training as the primary driver and nutrient-rich fruits as cellular amplifiers that enhance your results. Especially as we age, this synergy becomes critical. Our mTOR signaling becomes less sensitive, a phenomenon known as anabolic resistance. That means we need a stronger signal, not just more protein, but also compounds that enhance the pathway itself. This is where fruits outperform supplements. Unlike isolated powders, fruits deliver a complex mix of bioactive compounds, antioxidants, polyphenols, micronutrients that work together to optimize the internal environment for muscle maintenance and growth. Have you ever wondered why some people bounce back quickly after illness or injury while others struggle? Often it comes down to how efficiently their bodies can repair muscle tissue, and that efficiency is governed by both inflammation levels and nutrient signaling, areas where fruits like apples, berries, and pomegranates offer clear advantages. A simple tool to apply is this. Start your day or end your strength session with a piece of skin-on fruit, like an apple or a handful of cranberries. The goal isn't to spike insulin or carb load, but to deliver signaling molecules like ursoleic acid when your muscle cells are primed for growth. Here's what's happening in your body when you do that. You're not just feeding muscle. You're communicating with it. You're telling it now is the time to grow. The nutrients are here. The inflammation is low. Let's rebuild. And this communication is especially important after 65. Why? Because satellite cells, the stem cells that repair and regenerate muscle, become less active with age. But research in the Journal of Physiology shows that certain plant compounds may help reawaken these cells by reducing chronic inflammation and improving mitochondrial health. The bottom line is this: eating for muscle after 60 isn't just about hitting your protein target. It's about creating the internal environment where muscle tissue is encouraged to thrive. And certain fruits, especially those rich in skin-based compounds like ursoleic acid, help set that stage. This is how we shift the conversation from just eating healthy to eating for resilience, for strength, and for longevity. If you've ever struggled with low energy, slower recovery after physical activity, or that heaviness in your legs that wasn't there in your 40S, it might not be your age, it might be your mitochondria. Mitochondria are the powerhouses of your cells, especially your muscle cells, which are some of the most metabolically active in the body. As we age, the number and function of mitochondria decline. This means your muscles get less energy, recover more slowly, and become more vulnerable to damage. But one fruit has emerged as a potent ally in protecting and even rejuvenating these tiny power plants: blueberries. Blueberries contain a class of antioxidants called anthocyanins, the pigments that give them their deep blue color. These compounds have a direct impact on mitochondrial health. A 2020 study published in the Journals of Gerontology found that older adults who consumed 35 grams of freeze-dried blueberries daily showed improved mitochondrial function in muscle tissue, increased strength, and enhanced mobility after just 12 weeks. What's happening at the cellular level is remarkable. Anthocyanins reduce oxidative stress, a major driver of mitochondrial decline, and enhance the expression of PGC1A, a gene that stimulates the production of new mitochondria. Think of it like flipping on your cellular energy generator and ordering more backup units at the same time. Have you ever noticed how much harder it is to bounce back after a walk, hike, or workout now compared to your younger years? That's not just muscle soreness, that's slower mitochondrial recovery. And the good news is it's modifiable. A simple science-based protocol is this: add 1/2 to 1 cup of blueberries, fresh or frozen, to your post-exercise meal or morning smoothie. The key is consistency, because the protective effects build over time. This isn't a superfood hack, it's a long-term nutritional investment in your cellular energy systems. And here's a bonus: blueberries don't just help the muscles, they help the brain. The same anthocyanins that boost mitochondrial function in muscle cells also improve blood flow and reduce inflammation in the brain. So when you eat blueberries, you're enhancing both your physical strength and your cognitive endurance. If this insight is helping you, if you're starting to see how powerful small daily changes can be, consider subscribing. Every week we break down the science that helps you take control of your biology one step at a time. Here's another insight: aging isn't just about decline, it's about adaptation. And the ability to adapt depends on how well your cells can generate, use, and replenish energy. Blueberries, through their effect on mitochondrial biogenesis, support exactly that. And yes, the effect is amplified when combined with physical movement. Even a 20-minute walk after a meal can synergize with the effects of anthocyanins, leading to better glucose regulation and more efficient muscle fuel usage. We often think of fruit as something we add to the plate for taste or color, but in this case, blueberries serve a far deeper role, restoring the cellular engines that power your movement, your metabolism, and your mental clarity. One small handful a day. That's all it takes to begin shifting the mitochondrial balance back in your favor. One of the silent forces driving age, muscle loss, and overall decline in physical performance is something most people never feel directly, but its fingerprints are everywhere. In slow recovery, joint stiffness, reduced strength, and persistent fatigue. That force is chronic low-grade inflammation. As we age, the body's inflammatory set point tends to rise. This is known as inflaging, and it creates a hostile environment for muscle preservation. Inflammatory molecules like IL-6, TNF-alpha, and CRP disrupt muscle protein synthesis, damage mitochondria, and interfere with insulin signaling, all of which accelerate sarcopenia. But there's a fruit that can dramatically reduce these inflammatory signals, and it doesn't come from a rare Amazonian plant. It comes from the humble tart cherries, particularly the Montmorency variety, are packed with anthocyanins and polyphenols that have been shown to reduce inflammation markers in both blood and muscle tissue. So, in a randomized controlled trial published in the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition, participants who consumed tart cherry juice for 7 days before and after a strenuous exercise bout experienced significantly less muscle soreness, reduced inflammation, and faster strength recovery compared to those given a placebo. But here's what makes this especially relevant after 60. Tart cherries don't just help after extreme workouts. They help baseline inflammation. Studies in older adults show that daily consumption of tart cherry juice lowers CRP levels, a key marker of systemic inflammation, and improves markers of oxidative stress even without exercise. What's happening in your body when you drink tart cherry juice or eat dried tart cherries? You're delivering natural compounds that downregulate NF-κB, a central driver of the body's inflammatory response. You're also reducing uric acid levels, supporting joint health, and preserving muscle tissue by reducing catabolic signaling, the breakdown signals that increase with age. Here's a simple protocol to apply. Drink 8 to 12 ounces of unsweetened tart cherry juice in the evening, ideally 1-2 hours before bed. Why evening? Because tart cherries are also a natural source of melatonin, the sleep-promoting hormone, which helps improve recovery during deep sleep. And quality sleep is where much of your muscle repair takes place. Think of this as a 3-for-1 benefit. You reduce inflammation, support muscle recovery, and improve sleep, all of which are independently critical for reversing sarcopenia. Have you noticed that your recovery after a long day or a physical task feels delayed? Like your body is taking longer to reset? That's often a sign of subclinical inflammation. It's not acute or obvious, but it's chronic, and it's stealing your strength in the background. Tart cherries help you take that strength back. And here's a motivational reframe. Inflammation is not just a consequence of aging, it's also a modifiable variable. The foods you choose can either fan the flames or cool the fire. Tart cherries are one of the most powerful natural anti-inflammatory tools we have, and they taste good too. Over time, reducing inflammation doesn't just preserve muscle. It protects your metabolism, your cardiovascular system, and even your cognitive function. All of these systems are interconnected, and the foods you eat communicate across all of them. Sometimes the most powerful tools for muscle health are hiding in plain sight. Case in point, bananas. Often dismissed as just sugar, bananas are actually a neuromuscular superfood, especially important after the age of 60. Why? Because one of the overlooked causes of muscle weakness, cramps, and even poor balance is mineral depletion. As we age, we tend to absorb and retain fewer key electrolytes, especially potassium and magnesium, both essential for muscle contraction, nerve signaling, and hydration. Let's break this down. Your muscles don't contract on willpower alone. They respond to electrical signals from nerves. That signal travels through a chain of ion exchanges, sodium out, potassium in, across the muscle membrane. If you're low in potassium, the signal weakens, and so does your strength. A single medium banana contains about 425 milligrams of potassium, nearly 10% of your daily needs. Potassium helps reduce muscle fatigue, maintain electrolyte balance, and prevent painful cramps that often disrupt sleep or limit mobility in older adults. But it's not just potassium. Bananas also contain magnesium, which supports hundreds of cellular processes, including muscle relaxation. This is important because without adequate magnesium, muscles stay tense longer, recovery slows, and the risk of strain increases. One study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that higher potassium intake was associated with increased muscle mass and reduced age muscle loss, especially in older women. And magnesium intake has been linked to improvements in grip strength, leg power, and physical performance in people over 60. So, how do you turn bananas into a practical protocol? A simple tool is this. Have one banana paired with a protein source, like Greek yogurt or a scoop of whey, within 30 minutes after light to moderate exercise. The natural sugars help replenish glycogen stores, while the minerals support rehydration and muscle function. The pairing with protein promotes muscle repair. Alternatively, bananas can be eaten in the evening with nut butter to provide both minerals and sustained energy release before sleep, which may reduce nighttime muscle cramps and support overnight muscle recovery. And yes, while bananas do contain natural sugars, their glycemic impact is blunted when paired with fiber, fat, or protein. So you don't need to fear the fruit, especially when it's delivering muscle-relevant minerals your body can't store long-term. Here's a question worth reflecting on. Have you noticed more frequent muscle cramps, sudden weakness, or slower reaction times when moving or standing? These could be early signs of mineral depletion, and bananas offer a natural, affordable, and easily digestible way to replenish what's missing. And if you're getting value from this breakdown of science-backed nutrition tools, I'd encourage you to subscribe. This channel is dedicated to helping you make smarter, evidence-based decisions about your health without the noise or hype. As with all nutrients, consistency matters more than perfection. A banana once a month won't do much, but a banana most days, especially after activity or during recovery, can help restore the muscle electrolyte balance your body needs to move with strength and confidence. The bottom line, bananas are far more than a quick snack. They're a daily mineral delivery system for aging muscles. Imagine trying to rebuild a house with all the right materials, bricks, wood, nails, but no way to transport them to the site. That's what happens inside your body when muscle rebuilding nutrients and oxygen can't reach the tissue that needs repaired. And after 60, one of the hidden barriers to muscle regeneration is reduced blood flow. That's where pomegranates come in, nature's nitric oxide booster. Pomegranates are rich in polyphenols, especially elagitannins, which the body converts into urolithins, compounds that significantly increase the production of nitric oxide, NO. NO is a vasodilator. It relaxes and widens blood vessels, improving circulation and enhancing the delivery of oxygen and nutrients to working muscle tissue. Why does this matter after 60? Because aging naturally impairs the endothelium, the thin layer of cells lining your blood vessels, leading to stiffer arteries and reduced blood flow. This doesn't just affect your heart. It affects your muscles' ability to receive what they need to grow and recover. A 2016 study published in Clinical Nutrition showed that older adults who consumed pomegranate extract for just 2 weeks significantly improved blood flow, oxygen uptake, and physical performance during walking and exercise. And another study in Nature Metabolism found that urolithin A, a pomegranate-delayed compound, activates mitophagy, a process that cleans out damaged mitochondria, supporting better muscle endurance and strength. What's happening here is profound. Pomegranate compounds don't just improve circulation, they upgrade cellular housekeeping and nutrient delivery at the same time. Have you ever felt like your muscles just don't fire the way they used to? Like there's a slight lag or you fatigue faster than you used to? That's often not just a muscle issue, it's a vascular supply issue. And pomegranates offer a natural way to enhance the efficiency of your body's internal nutrient delivery system. Here's a simple and science-backed protocol. Drink 4-6 ounces of unsweetened pomegranate juice 30-60 minutes before light exercise or walking. This timing aligns with the peak in nitric oxide release, helping to boost blood flow during movement. Alternatively, add pomegranate seeds to a protein-rich salad or yogurt bowl to combine muscle-building amino acids with circulation-boosting polyphenols. And yes, it's okay to start small. Even a few tablespoons of concentrated pomegranate juice can make a difference, especially when used consistently. Here's what's happening in your brain and body when you do. Nitric oxide improves focus by enhancing cerebral blood flow. Your muscles get more oxygen and amino acids, supporting endurance and repair. Mitochondria become more efficient, improving energy and recovery capacity. This is how nutrition begins to function not just as fuel, but as precision medicine, targeting the systems that age tends to compromise. And it's empowering to remember this. Your blood vessels are dynamic. They respond to what you feed them. By increasing foods that promote vasodilation, like pomegranate, you are literally improving your body's internal highway system. So next time you're preparing a meal, ask, what am I doing to support circulation? Because good circulation isn't just heart health. It's muscle health, brain health, and lifespan mobility. Knowing what to eat is powerful, but science shows it's rarely enough to create lasting change, especially after 60, when habits are deeply ingrained and biological rhythms shift. So the final key in reversing sarcopenia isn't just nutritional, it's behavioral. The fruits we've explored, apples, blueberries, tart cherries, bananas, and pomegranates, are science-backed allies, but they need to be timed, paired, and integrated into your life in a way that your brain actually sticks with. That's where behavioral science meets nutritional neuroscience. Let's start with timing. Research consistently shows that the body is most responsive to nutrients in 2 windows. Post-exercise, within 30-60 minutes. This is when muscle cells are primed for glucose uptake and amino acid incorporation. It's also when insulin sensitivity is highest. Before bed, during sleep, growth hormone peaks and muscle repair accelerates. Consuming the right nutrients before bed supports overnight recovery and reduces muscle breakdown. Here's a practical protocol. Post-exercise, pair a banana or blueberries with 15-25 g of protein, like Greek yogurt, a protein shake, or cottage cheese. Before bed, have a small bowl of tart cherries or apple slices with nut butter, combining anti-inflammatory effects with slow-release energy and sleep-promoting compounds. Next, let's talk pairings. Certain fruit compounds absorb better when consumed with fats or protein. For example, pomegranate polyphenols are better absorbed when eaten with healthy fats like avocado or olive oil. Anthocyanins in blueberries become more bioavailable when paired with dairy proteins. Ursolic acid in apple skin is fat-soluble, making it more effective when eaten with a small amount of nut butter, seeds, or yogurt. This isn't about turning every meal into a science project. It's about simple upgrades. Ask, what's one easy thing I can add to make this more supportive of muscle health? Now let's address consistency, the biggest hurdle. Behavioral neuroscience shows that repetition, emotional salience, and identity alignment are what make habits last. Here's a tool from cognitive psychology. Use when-then statements to automate fruit-based habits. For example, when I finish my walk, then I'll have my banana with protein. When I start preparing dinner, then I'll set out my pomegranate juice. These statements link behavior to a consistent cue, activating the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for executive control. In other words, it reduces the mental friction of making a healthy choice. And finally, emotion matters. If a behavior feels like punishment or obligation, your brain resists it. But when it feels like a step toward strength, energy, and autonomy, it becomes reinforcing. Ask yourself, what would it feel like to climb stairs without hesitation? How would I move through my day if I trusted my body again? Fruits may seem simple, but when used strategically, they become a daily vote for that future self. So the question isn't just, what should I eat? It's, what system can I put in place to make the right choice automatic? Start small. Pick one fruit, one time of day, and one pairing. Build from there. This is not about perfection. It's about momentum. Let's step back for a moment and look at what we've just explored, not just as isolated facts, but as a complete science-backed strategy for regaining strength, energy, and control after 60. We began with a powerful reframe. Muscle health isn't just about protein, it's about signaling the internal messages your body sends that say, now is the time to grow, now is the time to repair. And certain fruits deliver the exact compounds that amplify these signals, naturally, safely, and with incredible precision. You learned how apples and cranberries, rich in ursolic acid, stimulate mTOR and support satellite cell activity, making them powerful tools for reversing age, muscle decline. You saw how blueberries, through anthocyanins, enhance mitochondrial function, restoring the energy factories in your muscle cells and improving both strength and recovery. We broke down how tart cherries reduce systemic inflammation, lowering IL-6 and CRP, helping your muscles recover faster, and supporting deeper, more restorative sleep. We covered how bananas, often overlooked, are mineral powerhouses, delivering potassium and magnesium to improve muscle contraction, prevent cramps, and sustain performance. And we explored pomegranates, which enhance nitric oxide production and boost circulation, ensuring that oxygen and nutrients get where they're needed to rebuild and regenerate muscle tissue. But none of this matters without one final element: your willingness to act. This isn't about overhauling your life or chasing perfection. It's about making one decision at a time, backed by science, driven by purpose, and anchored in self-respect. So here's your challenge. Today, choose one fruit from this list, one moment to eat it, and one reason why it matters to you. It could be blueberries in your morning smoothie, a banana after your walk, tart cherry juice before bed. You don't need to do it all, but you do need to start, because sarcopenia isn't inevitable, it's modifiable, it's reversible, and more than that, it's an opportunity to reconnect with your body, to reclaim your energy, and to walk through life not shrinking, but expanding in strength, confidence, and vitality. The science is clear, the tools are simple, the choice is yours. If this episode helped you, I invite you to like this video, not just for the algorithm, but to signal to others that this kind of knowledge matters. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're building a community that values evidence, personal growth, and real health, not gimmicks. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Which of these fruits will you start with this week? What are your goals for your strength and health over the next 6 months? Remember, aging is not a decline, it's a transition. And what you do today can profoundly shape who you become tomorrow. Let's keep building strength, one informed choice at a time.